also to quote the example in the energy sector in Moldova, because it represents the approach that we are having. Working at the policy level with a development policy loan that we have been working together, providing energy security, supporting EU strategy for energy security and to comply with EU standards on the pathway of Moldova to accession to the EU. But on top of, and also providing daily expertise with the technical assistance to the Ministry of Energy, provided by Expertise France. But on top of that policy framework that is really needed to give the right framework of partnership between us, AFD, and our partners, we want also to support infrastructure, because we believe that we have to look at every aspect of partnerships to ensure that they are satisfying results in the support provided. And here I want to quote the examples to continue with what you were saying on energy efficiency of a project that we're having. We are working together in Moldova on energy efficiency in the buildings, especially in education and health, and the financing should be approved next year. To try to work on the energy efficiency in this building. I'm just looking at the number, and the objective is to decrease the overall energy consumption of the targeted buildings by 60%, which is quite high in terms of objectives. Aside from that, and I try not to be long, I try to...
But these figures are confirmed by the projects that we've already done. The projects that we've already done show roughly 50% saving on the energy consumption.
And as you were saying, it's actually it finances itself.
Exactly.
It's so economically, financially, it's really important. And aside from that, I'll cut an example from another country, because we were talking about green growth, and what is important is also, and we are trying to work with our partners to look beyond the sectoral objectives. So we are talking about energy transition. AFD has been involved in the JET piece that you are all aware of. And recently, in the case of South Africa, we have provided a financing on the just part of the energy transition. So looking at how do we help for the transformation of the employment world. For instance, all the workers that were in the coal industry, how do we help them finding jobs that are green in the new industry, in renewable energy, creating opportunities to look at the transition as an opportunity, as well as like energy efficiency is an opportunity to save money, but also these new sectors are an opportunity of growth for our partners. And I will stop that not to be too long.
Thank you very much. Ms. Bassani, we understand that the World Bank has launched regional multi-phase program to scale up renewable energy and efficiency, still once. We talk about energy efficiency. Can you please elaborate a bit more on these initiatives and how Moldova can benefit from them?
Thank you, good morning, and thank you very much for inviting me to be in this important panel on Moldova at COP29. Indeed, the bank has been supporting an ambitious program of energy transition across the many countries in Europe and Central Asia, really supporting the initiative, the endeavors, the efforts of the governments in these countries through two programs that we launched earlier this year. One is to scale renewable energy, and one is to scale up energy efficiency. And I'm very glad to say that Moldova is one of the first participants in the energy efficiency program. The energy efficiency program is a 10-year effort across the region to save about 63 terawatt hours of energy over the lifetime of the various investments across various countries, which we estimate could reduce CO2 emission by 18.7 million metric tons. So it's really an effort to scale up initiatives that are already ongoing. And in Moldova, this is through a project the bank is supporting, which is called Sustainable Transition Through Energy Efficiency in Moldova, working with other partners, as you just heard, and really under the guidance and the vision of the government program. It includes supporting intervention to increase energy efficiency in public buildings and increase efficiency of district heatings, and also help the government develop a sustainable financing mechanism as well as a market for energy services in the country. I also want to say a word on the second program, which relates to renewable energy. This is also a $2 billion investment across the region that the bank plans to make, which aims to mobilize $6 billion in private investment, as well as other co-financing, including on concessional terms. And it aims to develop up to 15 gigawatts of renewable energy across the region. And we want to support Moldova also in the efforts that the minister has indicated on renewable energy. And I know the government has already launched energy efficiency auctions, which is a great renewable energy auctions, which is a great step to accelerate renewable energy investment in Moldova, and we are partners with the government and we intend to continue to support this program. I also want to say that with these two programs on renewable energy and energy efficiency, we also want to support the generation and sharing of knowledge on successful interventions, because many countries in the region are experimenting, attempting, introducing new approaches, and we want to facilitate the circulation of knowledge on these best examples across government, the private sector, and development partners. Thank you.
Thank you so much. You're right. It's not only about money, it's also about sharing knowledge and best practice. So, Ms. Rusnak, I'm coming back to you because we are now at the very, let's say, core of our topic, which is how to create more growth for the Moldovan economy, aligning with the EU standards in terms of less CO2 emissions.
Well, thank you so much. Indeed, we always, as I said, we have a very challenging and interesting job to have a win-win situation. Well, first, let me tell you about the Republic of Moldova. It's a small country, but we have left bank and right bank. And we are trying, as a government, to succeed in getting on board both banks and to get information from both banks, to get on board, the entrepreneurs from both banks. What does it mean? That means that we really want to to get on the international level and to achieve the targets on the whole country. Well, in this way, we have a very interesting jobs to, firstly, to get the information from the left bank, second, to impose the measure controls and to impose the plans and the programs that we have already adopted. In this way, I would like to say that on behalf of the Minister of Environment, we are creating not only policies and drafting the policies and updating them, but trying to smooth and to get on board private sector, local public authorities. Because having only set targets on paper, that does not work. And we understood that. And this is not only government who is doing, promoting the policies. This is the first line, and the first line are the entrepreneurs, and the first line is the local public authority, and the first line are the citizens. So how this melting pot can work? Well, firstly, of course, as I said, we will update the NDC. We're working on the report. We have already, more ambitious targets, but we will have the third phase of NDC starting February 25, when we will implement it. And this is where the costs come. And this is where our interesting job become more interesting and challenging, because we have to think how to get on board and how to invest in our companies that they will become greener. Because yes, we have the circular economy program. Yes, we're perfect in doing and implementing the national energy and climate plan, and in adopting it we're very well. And Mr. Pavlikov is nodding. That means that we work a lot not only in policies, but we work a lot on implementing them, because this is where the cost come. This is where we have to get them on board and tell them that out of their revenues, they have to invest in greening their revenues, in greening the economy, and in greening the country, because this is, how they're doing. And this is how we have to, to get them, to persuade them, because this is how we do it. And in terms, of implementing, this is the hardest part. Why is the hardest part? Well, I'm telling you from our perspective, because as we implement a policy, all the economy, all the entrepreneurs are coming, and they are not willing. We're not very comfortable, because they have to pay, they have to change their policies, they have to return, they don't know how, they don't know how to report, they don't know how to that and that. What they do? Well, I tell you, we become best negotiator. Now, starting from the ministers, state secretaries, and all the ministers, what is doing is trying to negotiate from the policies to implementation. Second, we're trying to get the donor and the partnership to invest in private and local public authorities. And as it was stated before, because we cannot do it just on paper, we cannot do it just, building up government buildings, because this is not work. We have to think about citizens. We have to think how they feel. And this is about implementing the same policies on ETS, on CBAM. Now we have a nightmare, and this is our nightmare when we will get back with Mr. Parlikov. Well, he doesn't have hair, but my hair will lose again. I think will become very similar after implementing the CBAM ETS policies. So this is my message to you. It's hard work, but only together we can achieve the targets and achieve the reduction of the CO2, because we have to green everything, every single domain. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mrs. Rosnak. So now, Mr. Parlikov, it's your turn. So what strategies and innovation can the energy sector implement to support a circular economy and more resource efficiency?
Well, again, I'll start by saying that it's not an option for us, it's a must. We're a country that has no, again, fossil fuels, we have no critical minerals. We're a country that depends on important resources. And it is our only, way of competing and maintaining ourselves relevant to integrate in the regional energy market and in the bigger EU market is by using these resources wisely. Now, what do we do in the energy sector particularly? There's, first of all, we create a framework for innovation. And in innovation, as you know, first of all, in order to achieve, everybody wants to achieve the climate neutrality. Everybody wants to achieve it fast. Everybody's saying, yes, we must do it. Now, the real question is, does anybody see or does anybody know how does this bright climate neutral future look like? What technologies will be there? Do we already have these technologies? Most probably, if we witness what is happening in all the markets, what happened to the solar panels, what happens with the storage, what happens with the electric vehicles, what happens with the heat pumps, wherever we look, we understand that these technologies are in process of ripening. All these technologies are in a quick technological race, and we have not yet achieved the maturity of most of these technologies. That's why, and in innovation, number one success factor is speed. The faster you can test, the faster you can deploy, the faster you can try it and scale it, the faster it's producing mass effect. So where we are seeing Moldova at this point is a country where technologies hit the market faster than in other places. We have designed special, let's say, regulatory framework, which we call innovation sandboxes, where new technologies can be tested in real life, connected to a real grid, connected to it's not just only technologies, it's business models, it's financing models, it's the regulatory framework that would enable the use of different sorts of innovative solutions. And this is where we want to become part of this bigger technological race, and that's how Moldova wants to contribute to this, to developing to shaping the bright decarbonized future. For us, again, this is not a matter of whether or not. It's a matter of survival, both for our economy and for our competitiveness of our economy and for our citizens. Apart from the innovation sandboxes, we are partnering with financial institutions. We've developed a cooperation with our Romanian friends, where they use energy companies and they use funds to invest in innovative solutions and startups. They have what they call it something like fabrica de unicorn. A kind of they produce unicorns. Okay, unicorns, and we are teaming up with them. We create the regulatory framework in our place, but we also bringing in financing from the private sector in energy sector in Romania to scale it up, to invest in it, to try it. And why not? We already have one technological unicorn in the IT sector. Why not having a couple in the energy sector, in the green technologies?
That would be great. Thank you. Ms. Ben Maïd, this COP is a COP of the green finance, of the sustainable finance. So how can Moldova address the financial challenges of green energy adoption today, including this access to green finance? So you are, AFD is a pioneer in this topic, so what could you say about that?
Thank you. A lot have already been said by the Minister and Secretary of State. But in general, it is a COP of finance, and we know that no matter what the outcome of this COP will be, one of the discussion is the different sources of finance. We have the public finance, we have the private finance. I don't have more hints than anyone here on what will be the outcome. However, what we can say is that we are all convinced that there should be a complementarity of kinds of finance to support the green transition, given the high volumes that are at stake. And in order to be able to mobilize private finance for where they have an added value, there are a few conditions that we have seen in a lot of countries. The private sector can have a lower risk appetite than IFIs. So a lot of the key challenges that they will look at is the legal aspect. Enough security on the project, the contractual aspect. We have seen that IPP has been developed in renewable energy thanks also to the kind of contractual aspect. There is also the need for visibility and planning. Private sector doesn't like the unknown. They like to have a visibility on what is planned, what would be their return, because that's their mandate to try to look for return, which is another question for public finance or for public goods. And also to give them incentives to invest, because if we want the private sector to come here, it's not only to build on public funding, it's also to bring investment, to bring money, to contribute, to be sure that the public money that is invested by your governments is actually leveraging even more funding given the fact that the needs are way bigger and way more significant than what public funding can provide. And that's, I think, it's really timely because during this COP, it's a lot of the discussions on the finance, on how do we attract even more private sector in this. And I'll take advantage of having the microphone because I also we talked a lot about mitigation, but resilience also is important because if we are weak in resilience, it will translate into costs for the government, and we have to integrate that in the planning. And we are working together on the forest project, for instance, which contributes to the resilience of Moldova. And we are really happy also to be working in the near future on irrigation and rural development, because we are convinced, and here maybe it's more for public funding indeed, but we have to prevent costs. It's not only added funds, but it's also preventing costs for the financial stability. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So you have raised the question of how attract the private sector investment, and it is a key question. So can you elaborate on this a bit more, Ms. Balsani?
So Moldova, as other countries in the region, faces some challenges in attracting private sector investment for the energy transition. And there are ways where countries and stakeholders can address these challenges. And I have to say Moldova is already implementing many of them. So first of all is that of strengthening the regulatory framework and policy stability in line with the EU directives. And I have to say that adoption of EU standards and regulations can help improve investor confidence and attract private investment. And I have to say that the Moldovan government is making significant progress in this area with the work on the national energy strategy and the NECP, as well as the simplification of permitting and licensing process. So that's a very important step in that way, and the World Bank Group has been supporting this effort. We intend to continue doing that in close collaboration with the government, with the Energy Community Secretariat and other development partners. Second way is that of tackling technical barriers for renewables and energy efficiency. In the case of Moldova, as the minister mentioned, there is a need to modernize and expand the grid in order to integrate renewable energies into Moldova energy system. We can also use digital technologies in order to improve efficiency and reduce costs. A third area of efforts is that of designing and implementing innovative financing mechanisms to reduce financial risk for the private sector. And fourth is that of promoting innovation, upgrading skills, and also important, I think, is that of raising awareness about the benefits that energy transition can bring to communities and the population.
Thank you very much. So we arrive to the end of the panel. So as a conclusion, I will say that we have here all the ingredients to continue on the growth path for Moldova. A strong political will, very good partnerships, financing, specialists of green finance, and people also who have large hopes to make it happen. I wanted also to make a big thank to WGEO Pavilion, who is welcoming us today. So thank you so much to welcome Moldova delegation. And maybe I will just leave one word for each of us as a conclusion. What is the key ingredient to be a success for Moldova on this growth, on this green energy growth? One word.
Well, I don't have the magical solution. What I will say is that we are a living example of how a country in the most vulnerable situation, in terms of resources, in terms of war nearby, in terms of climate vulnerability, in terms of poverty, in terms of energy inefficiency, how can such a country become very quickly a role model in terms of achieving the climate neutrality even ahead of states that are much more advanced in the financial point of, from the financial point of view, from the point of view of, from many other points of view. And this is our vision, and what we've done so far in the last couple of years is already impressive, and we're not planning to stop here.
Thank you. One word, Miss. Sorry, Miss Rosnak first.
Thank you so much. I think the locals will say, and then the donors, the partners, international partners. So I will just want to mention that a good cooperation, as I mentioned, on the donors, private sector, government as project, as I did not mention, on GCM, on NDC, on GIZ, on UNDP, on national adaptation programs. This is the key to success, because there are available money, there are available resources, and there are available people. So let's do and green the country. This is how it works. Thanks.
So, two things. One is strong government commitment, and two is strong development partner support. And I think you have heard both in this panel today. Thanks.
Thank you. I mean, my words would be similar to yours. I have the feeling that we take away from the discussion of today that there is already plans, ambitious plans, strategic plans in place. We just need time for them to unfold, but everything is in place and the commitment is here. We can hear from you too, and you can count on us definitely in the future of the deployment of your strategy.
Thank you so much. So I suggest to make a big applause to our panel. So we cannot ask any more questions because there is another panel after, but you can come and ask some questions apart from the panel to our panelists here. Thank you.